this cannot be my legacy, sitting on my sofa, drinking myself to death. What are my kids going to say when they're older? Like, who was your dad? What was he? Oh, he was a loser. And I just knew I was destined for more. It sounds a bit arrogant maybe, I don't know, but my own ego kind of got me out of that, because I just thought, there is no way that I am being remembered for this. The anxiety I'd get if I thought I was running out of drink or drugs. I'd get, say, 10 cans. Before I'd even drank one, I'd be panicking, like, what am I going to do when these run out?
Right.
In my head, I couldn't have been an alcoholic. I didn't drink spirits. I haven't changed. I am just now the person I was meant to be. This is just who I always was, that little boy probably, that is now become a man.
Welcome, Karl.
Thank you.
So we've not met before, and it's an honour to have you on my podcast. I want to hear all about your journey, where we're going to start. So let's look at who you are and why you're here today.
Well, my name's Karl. Coventry lad, and in the past I've struggled with addiction, alcoholism, and that's kind of why I'm here today, to touch on that, where it took me to, how I managed to get myself sober, and sort of what I'm doing myself now, and hopefully if there's anybody out there struggling that's maybe watching it, offer them a little bit of hope.
Fab. Well, I think when it comes to the topic of drugs and alcohol, I wouldn't say that it's like a passion of mine to talk about it, but I think from jobs that I've done before, like I've been a drug and alcohol worker, so when we were chatting and you said sort of what you've been through, that's why I wanted you to come on. So you're now sober.
Yep.
How long have you been sober for?
3 years and a few months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So congratulations, first
Thank
of
you.
all.
I remember, my last drink was the day I arrived into rehab. And that's how bad it was. I had money to either get lunch or get a drink. And obviously I got a drink, but yeah, that was my last ever drink.
Okay.
I got a picture of it on my phone somewhere. So I did take a picture, and I kind of knew at that point this is going to be my last drink. So
Right.
hopefully that is the case. I'm not naive to think I won't ever drink again, but I'm in a pretty good place.
Yeah. Okay. So what started all of this off then? When did you realise that you had a problem, if we start from there?
Gosh, we was only on about this the other day, me and one of my very close friends, that we were sort of drinking straight spirits from like the age of 13 onwards, going out to the park and whatnot. Remember waiting outside the shop for people to go in, buy you alcohol, all of that sort of thing. But even then, I was probably a bit more extreme than everybody else. I'd kind of want to do it Friday, Saturday, not just the one night of the weekend. And yeah, I'd always take it pretty far. I wouldn't really want to go anywhere if there wasn't drink involved. And I suppose initially I thought I liked to drink to be around girls and, in that sort of scene. But yeah, very quickly, I think it was a problem for me. I could see, looking back now, at the time, right up until I went to rehab, I didn't really think I was an alcoholic. I kind of learnt that on my sobriety journey. But yeah, from the start, looking back, I was pretty wild, and I liked to drink. Yeah. And then later on, the drugs came. But yeah, I was drinking every weekend from quite a young age. Even all through school, I would be drinking on weekends. I'd end up going to pubs there's a certain figure in my life, and yeah, I suppose it weren't the best influence, but I'd end up in like rough pubs, out, and then back to like people's houses after, where there's people smoking crack and all sorts, and I'd be there still as a young teenager, still at school, around all this stuff. So that was just a norm for me. Like, when I tell people now what I kind of grew up around, they're like, but to me it was just normal. My mum didn't really have a clue what I was fully up to. Yeah. Till one day when I was a bit older, she licked my bank card, and then she found out I was obviously taking drugs. That was me. I was so cocky with it. But just heavy drinker from young, I think. I think looking back, it was an escape. Growing up, probably my first memories of domestic violence towards my mum. So I didn't meet my dad till I was like 9 years old. Right. So I think I'm not blaming it on anything or anyone, because, I make my own decisions, but I think I kind of drank to maybe numb something. I don't know, I didn't know how to feel. I grew up living in fear, I guess, for the early years of my life. And then I think that fear came out when I'd had a drink, and it came out in me being the violent one then.
Right.
So I think that's probably why I drank. I don't know if it runs in the family, anything like that, because I know that people in my family have struggled with drink and drugs, but I don't believe that it's hereditary kind of thing. But I don't know. That's probably why I drank, because of certain things, and then I did just like it as well. Like I thought it was cool being out all the time, you know, being around people. I like to meet new people, and that was how I met people back then. And you know, I loved being in the pub. So the people I kind of grew up with, my mum had a type. So you know, the kind of guys that I would grow up around, they were the wrong type of people. I know that now, and you know, so the people I looked up to as a kid, that were definitely bad influences and people you shouldn't necessarily look up to. So I kind of become that. I become the thing I hated in the end. And, you know, I was trying to be this Jack the lad, this, you know, proper pub lad in the pub, you know, getting into trouble, doing whatever. But then it quickly stopped from, like, going out into the pub to just sat at home drinking on my own all
When
the
was
time.
that, Carl? When did it start, like, change into that?
Probably I moved away from Coventry. So on my journey, obviously I drank from a young age. I winged it through school. I was very clever at school, so that was never an issue. You know, I was always like I should have been a high achiever, but like I said, the sesh got the better of me, and I just, being from Tile Hill, I just fell into that stereotypical lad from Tile Hill, I guess. In fact, in between my drinking, I've had bouts of like homelessness, you know, real bad drug problems where I've owed thousands out. You know, like, it was pretty dark. And I've obviously got 4 children as well in all that time. So in my time of drinking, I'm going to say I started from about 13. Drugs, I started from, I think I was 19 or 18. I remember my first line, and it was off a wheelie.
Did you start with
bin lid.
cocaine?
Yeah.
Right.
So that was it. I only ever done cocaine. So that's why I thought, I'm not this and that. You know, and I only drank lager. I didn't really drink spirits. So in my head, I couldn't have been an alcoholic. I didn't drink spirits.
Right.
But I definitely was. But yeah, so in this time, I got into a lot of trouble as a youth. I ended up on the front page of the newspapers before my first ever offence, big mugshot, and you thought that would have been a wake-up call, but it wasn't. I kind of thought that was pretty cool at the time.
And what was that for?
Fighting.
Right.
Yeah, 2 fights on like 2 different nightclubs, and then they done me for both of them. I didn't go to jail. I haven't been to jail before. Luckily, I've really don't know how, but I've managed to swerve that one. I've had multiple, you know, I've been in court and whatever for fighting, and that's the only thing I've ever been arrested for is fighting, and not really much more. But like I say, I was just that proper. I thought I was like a Jack the lad, and I thought that was the life. I thought that's all I ever wanted to be, was to be known around the pub scene and to be respected. And I just had it completely wrong. Like, I didn't really know what a man was. I never had anybody to teach me, so I didn't know how to be a father. I had my first child when I was 25. I was smashed out of my head. I think I left the hospital when he was born, and I got on it, and I'll be coming back to the, like, I was just a mess. And then I had a daughter not long after that. But up until this point, I'd just been heavily drinking, couldn't hold a job down, taking drugs on a daily basis, doing little bits and bobs to get by.
And just on that, the drugs on a daily basis, so that's like weekdays and stuff. Were you drinking as well, or were you sort of dry sniffing?
Yeah. No, I'd always, it started out, I'd have about 8 cans and then a line, and then it got less and less, and then I'd have a line and a can at the same time, my first one. So it got like that, and there has been many a times I had a job where I had to work away to pay off a drug debt. And that whole time I was there, I wasn't drinking, but I was dry sniffing, and I feel it now. Like it was disgusting. That was pretty low. Like working, all my wages were going away to somebody, which is fair enough. I earned the money, and I had a few jobs like that where they were just purely to pay off drug debts. Yeah, it wasn't good. So I never really learnt anything. Like I say I'm an intelligent lad, but I never learnt a trade, or I never like held down a job, so I had no skills to live in the real world outside of addiction and whatever else comes with addiction to make money. I wasn't shoplifting or anything, but I did partake in criminal activity to make money and whatnot. But so I just didn't have the skills to be a normal functioning member of society. It was carnage. I was off my head all the time. I probably wasn't nice to be around. The way I've treated people in the past was really bad, particularly women. And I'm quite ashamed of that, because having a single mum, you know, I should have probably known better. But I guess seeing the way she was treated, I maybe thought that was how men treated women, and I knew it wasn't. But something in me just thought, well, I can just do it as well. I've not treated people how I see my mum treated. Not to those extremes, but I've been very disrespectful to women, and not somebody. Now I've got daughters. If somebody was like that with my daughter, there would be trouble.
Yeah.
So I probably owe a few fathers apologies and a few, a few women from my past some apologies if I ever get around to, if that situation ever comes up. But
do you know what? It takes a lot for somebody to, number one, accept that, but also say it on like a platform like this. Yeah. And we all make mistakes, right? And I don't know anything in terms of like what that entails and what you're apologising for, but that's something.
Yeah.
Being able to state, this is who I was, I'm ashamed of that now and I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not the person I am now. Like, looking at how I was to how I am now, I don't recognise myself.
Yeah.
I just say now, I haven't changed. I am just now the person I was meant to be.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I haven't really, like, this is just who I always was. That little boy probably that is now become a man. I didn't really become that man until I was 30. Up until then, right on my 30th birthday, I was rolling around on the floor scrapping. Like, that was it. And then I went to rehab a few months after. The Dynamo Project. Big up the Dynamo Project.
I want to hear all about that.
What an amazing place. Saved my life. And my children have a dad. My mum has a son. My partner has a boyfriend who provides. I would never have been able to do that without Dynamo. But we will touch on that.
Yeah.
I guess like a lot of apologies, a lot of mistakes made. I was a crap dad, and that's something I swore I'd never be because of how what I had growing up. And so that's what I said. That's what I meant when I said I'd become the thing I hated. I didn't care about my kids. I loved them. I knew I loved them. I didn't know how to love them. I didn't know what love towards my children was. I just knew the right thing to do is love your children. So I love my children. But that sort of paternal thing wasn't there. The drugs would always come first. The drink would always come first. They got in the way of it, And I wasn't really with their mum at the time. So that's my first two children. And, I'd see them for major events. But then I moved away. Up until I moved away, like I said, I've been homeless, living in a caravan, a basement of a warehouse.
Wow.
Through all of this time, from when I was 19 up until I was 30, I might tear up a little bit now. I had, didn't want to do this on a platform like this. I had my dog called Ibrox. He's tattooed on my chest, and I don't know. I don't know if I'd be here if it wasn't for him.
Right.
He was, he meant a lot to me. Sorry.
It's okay, take your time.
But he seen me get better though.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, he's seen his job through to the end. He was me and him were together for a reason. For my darkest times, he was there, and he was there till I got better.
Yeah. So you had him when you were really struggling. Did you have him through your bouts of homelessness?
Yeah, right. It was always me and him. I remember one time I was living in a caravan in Rugby, and I was at the Maudsley pub in Horsley, or Chapel Fields or wherever it is, and we had to walk all the way back to Rugby, up the A45. Like, we just went through everything together, and that caravan would be so cold, his water bowl would be frozen solid, but we had each other, and it was a big thing. I've always loved my dog, so I've got two now, but he was special.
Well, I love dogs, and I love that you had him at your worst, darkest times. Tell me about that time in your life then. So you're living, what was going on for you in life that meant that was where you were? So living in a caravan, was it Was it the addiction which was so bad? Was it relationships which had failed?
I think a combination of it all. So I was like, and then another place I lived in, you know, like a cupboard where your gas meter is.
Yeah.
I lived in my mate's flat. He's an alcoholic. He's dead now, but he was a good man. And he put me up. I lived in there, just all these places where I've had to live just to get by. And it probably was because of broken down relationships. People didn't want the burden of me being in their house crashing.
Right.
I had no job. I couldn't really provide anything. I couldn't offer them anything to stay there. You know, people probably would have been willing to help me, but I also wouldn't have given my dog up. So, you know, a lot of people would probably be like, yeah, you can come, but we don't want the dog here. And there was no chance he was ever going to go. So that was a no. So I'd just stay wherever I could, that me and him would be okay. So the homelessness, it lasted probably on and off for around a year. You know, I'm not saying I slept rough, but I was living in a caravan with no running water or electricity. Do you know what I mean? It's pretty dire. And then my nan ended up, she was like, I'm sick of you being like this. Let's get you up to where I live. She lives up in the coast. And I was like, yeah, sound, this is it, new chance, you know, fresh start. At this point, I've got my 2 children who I see, but nothing like I should have been seeing them. So that weren't holding me here. So I was like, yeah, let's go for it. I ended up moving into a chalet for a few months, and it was freezing, me and the dog. And we were happy
with your
there.
nan, or just
No,
nearby?
she was around the corner.
Right.
But still, I was out. I was spending all my money, what little money I did have, everything on drink, and that was just it. I thought I was happy because I was out of the way, doing whatever, but I was just drinking myself to death still. And I also suffered. I still take medication for it, but gout. I got gout from about the age of 21. So this was a big thing throughout my drinking. I'd get it in multiple joints at once. I'd like be bed bound for days, like weeing in a bucket next to the bed because I couldn't make it to the toilet. The agony. It gave me sepsis one time. I had it that bad. So that was the health side of things. But yeah, I was living up in the coast. You know, knew me now. That's it. And then I got offered a flat in a little town. It was a nice town, one of the nicer places I've lived. And then because it's a town, it was a little bit bigger, and I started to go out, meet a few people, and this is what they say in recovery. You know, people try and do a geographical. You move location and you think it's going to help, but you take yourself with you.
Right.
That's what you don't realise. So I'm like meeting all these people, and they're just exactly the same types of people that I would have hung around with in Coventry or wherever
you were
I did
attracting
live.
them,
Yeah,
right.
of course. That's it. And I didn't want to be normal either. I wasn't ready for that, you know. So I met all these people. It was up to no good. And then I really got into probably a bit darker and a bit deeper into the crime side of things. And then the drink was just becoming heavy. I met a girl, had another child. So that's my 3rd child. I was sober at that birth because it was COVID. So I couldn't like just nip out and do whatever. But yeah, that was my 2nd daughter. Me and her mum were probably, I would say we were toxic for one another. Probably on my apology list. I need to get around to it sometime. But I am making living amends now by being a good father to our daughter. You know, I help out where I can financially. I'm kind of making up for that in other ways. But yeah, again, didn't stop me having another kid. I didn't care. I would have drugs in the house around her. People in and out of the house. We were up to no good. And I just didn't care. I'm quite ashamed to think about that, really, because the thought of her maybe one day listening to this, I would always be honest with my children anyway, completely honest, but it is quite embarrassing now I sort of talk about it, to think, bloody hell, because if that was my son now, my situation now, if anybody even come in my house with any of that sort of stuff like going on, they'd get a slap, the dog would be set on them, and they'd be told to go. So the fact I was allowing that and participating in it, doing whatever, it's quite bad, really. So I got my flat. That was all whatever. Still weren't working. I was again being that thing I hated, a sponger, bum. I'd get the odd job here and there, but I couldn't hold anything down. I was just like, I'd be shaking at work, like spewing up, like being sick, like
What, in withdrawal?
yeah, like hangover, withdrawal,
Right.
and all I'd be thinking about is finishing and having a drink. There's been many jobs where I've drank at work as well, but not at this point. And then
At this time in your life, sorry, Carl, did you think or know that you had a problem?
people told me that I did,
Right.
but I just didn't see it. I genuinely thought I could stop if I wanted to.
Right, yeah.
And I always thought if I wanted to, I could stop. And it's got to a point where that's it, I'm not doing it again now. And it'd be every time. You get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you really do think, though, that you've got control over it. There was nobody that could have told me you're an alcoholic. I said, shut up, I'm not like, I've got my own teeth.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a bad looking lad. How can I, that's kind of what I thought meant I wasn't an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I had all right clothes, I was clean. But, God, yeah, at this point, my belly was starting to grow. My face was starting to get bigger, as you see in the picture, what I put on my social media.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was a scruff really, but at that point I thought, I look sound. I put a bit of aftershave on, I don't smell, I'm all right. I shower every day. Well, not when you're on a big bender, you don't. Or it can be a few days then. The thought of a shower when you're on it is, you couldn't even get in the shower when you're mad with it. It's a weird thing, weird feeling. But I just didn't think I was, and I just thought, because I grew up around, I knew alcoholics, and I wasn't like them. But now I know an alcoholic isn't, you don't look at someone and think alcoholic, that people hide it, people function on it, some people live relatively normal lives on it. But yeah, I just really was in denial. The drugs, the anxiety I'd get if I thought I was running out of drink or drugs. I'd get, say, 10 cans. Before I'd even drank one, I'd be panicking, like, what am I going to do when these run out?
Right.
And then that was a pretty horrible feeling. I'd be ringing people up, begging, borrowing money, telling my mum I need money for nappies for my daughter, dog food for the dogs. And, I was quite good at manipulating. I was a bit of a narcissist, really. That's the truth of it. And I'd always manage to find a way. So I always think now, if I could do that, if I was that resourceful to get drink and drugs, what could I achieve now? If I put that, that energy into something else, and which we'll get onto, I've achieved a hell of a lot since I got sober. So I was in my flat anyway at this point. I keep going off track. But then we got a house together, me and my girlfriend at the time, the baby. I had the 2 dogs, Sash and Ibrox. Again, I'm going to do the house up, make it lovely, and nothing ever got done. I was a bit ashamed to think, like, there's no carpet on the stairs, I'll do it. But all my money went on drink and drugs. That was it. That's all I cared about. So that was that. And I've been there for maybe, I don't know, a year or 2, still doing the same thing, struggling with gout, couldn't really hold a job down. I was working, bits and bobs, but involved in things I shouldn't have been involved in. And I just wasn't happy, because I thought in the end, this cannot be my legacy, sitting on my sofa, drinking myself to death. What are my kids going to say when they're older? Like, who was your dad? What was he? He was a loser. And I just knew I was destined for more. It sounds a bit arrogant maybe, I don't know, but my own ego kind of got me out of that, because I just thought, there is no way that I am being remembered for this. Like, I cannot do that to myself. I'm worth more than this. I'm far too intelligent. I've got too much about me. I cannot go out like this. If I died tomorrow, that's it. My legacy, what I wanted in that point was to be a hard man, known, respected. You look at me, I'm not tough geezer. I can hold my own, and that's about it. But that was what I wanted my legacy to be at that time. But then it started to change, and I was thinking, maybe it was because I was a dad. Subconsciously, I thought, this can't be the example I'm setting. And yeah, my own ego it kicked me up the ass, and it wasn't like a defining moment, nothing like that. I had a friend who was very sober, and I think I messaged him about 3 a.m. one day, because he knew about Dynamo, and it was very new at that time, and I was like, mate, I need help. But loads of people, because I get it now, at 3 a.m, you probably think, oh yeah,
My husband gets it,
yeah, all the time. Oh, please, can you help me do this? I'm like, yeah, come back to me when you're clear-headed, and I'll help you. But I did anyway, and he reached out to me the next day, and he was like, I'll have a word with him. And he did. He put me onto him. And at this point, I was still thinking, it ain't going to happen, but at least I'm trying, and I thought it won't go anywhere. But if people ask, look, I am trying,
Yeah.
so I was still drinking, doing whatever. And then, you know, things started to happen, and I was speaking to them, and they were saying, look, let's get this, you know, here's a date and that. And I was like, wow.
A date to move in was this,
Yeah,
right?
this is like pretty real. And then it's Kieran who runs it.
Yeah.
Kieran and Pete, two of the best people you could meet. They got their own stories to tell as well, which is good.
Well, I want Pete on this podcast.
Pete's
I've
good.
already spoken to him,
Speaking
and then
about
it's
Pete
not
today.
coming into fruition. So you tell him for me.
I'll
I
have a
want
word
him
with
as
him.
well.
You're listening, Pete. He's a top geezer. And so is Kieran. And congratulations to Kieran on the birth of his son, actually.
Yeah.
Two lovely guys. And at the time, Claire was there as well, a woman who helped to run things. And yeah, me and her, we butted heads a few times, but I know she only had my best interests at heart. So Kieran rang me one day and we were chatting, and I was like, he goes, you know, you got to be fully abstinent. I didn't even know what that word meant.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what? I kind of thought I'd go there and just get a hold of it, where I could probably just go out and get on it at the weekends, or I thought maybe I'd be able to hold a job down. But then I started to learn, fuck me, I'm an alcoholic. I cannot drink ever again. Like, because it still frags my head that people go out and have a glass of wine with their dinner. I'm like,
What? Just the one?
the hell? I'm like,
Yeah.
there's what? Why? How? What? How do you stop? Like, what? I know now, I'm under no illusions. If I'm to have a drink, I'm getting all of my savings, I'm sniffing them, I'm drinking them, and that's it. I ain't going and having one drink.
Yeah.
I haven't got that in me. I've never done it in my life. Why am I going to start now? People say, a lot of people are naive to what addiction and that is, and they say, do you not think you could have a few now,
Yeah.
Carl? What, a few? Why? Why would I want to have a few?
Because
I'm
it's
getting
not.
smashed.
It wouldn't be a few, would it?
No, never.
Or maybe it might be a few the first time.
Yeah, maybe.
And then the next time, and then it could creep in. That's something I hear.
I did do that before. Done 6 weeks off the drink when I was suffering with the gout. I seen a rheumatologist, and he said, if you carry on, the arthritis that will be caused from the gout, that would kill you. And I was like, bloody hell, that'd be some way to go out painful. So I done 6 weeks off the drink, but I was still sniffing.
Right.
But in my head, that I didn't know about recovery, so I thought that was me sober. I was like, I'm sound. Like, I stopped drinking for 6 weeks, and then I had a shandy. Then I had another shandy, and then I just went out for a few days and got on it.
Yeah.
Which is what I used to do. So yeah, one drink. What is it? There's a saying or something. One's too many, and 1,000 is never enough. Like type thing, because it's you're drinking until you've got no resources left, and then you're going to bed with your tail between your legs, and just it's mad. But I still can't fathom that people do have one drink. Like, my partner will do it. We don't really have drink in the house. I wouldn't be bothered if she had drink in the house. We have done in the past. I'll go out for dinner with her. She'll have a glass of wine, whatever. But she, since being with me, she has been partly the making of me. But I'll get on to how me and her met.
Yeah.
So I'm at Dynamo now then. And it's a bit like, whoa. I think Pete said to me when I first walked in, me and my mum, I had to get the coach to Rehab. That was pretty mad.
So when you say Rehab, you mean Dynamo?
Dynamo, yeah.
Okay.
And I met him at the house, and I'm a bit sheepish, which isn't like me. And Pete kind of said to me, I think you got this, Carl. He's like, I don't think you'll drink again. And I was like, right. Yeah, cheers, mate. And my mum always remembers that conversation, and she's like, see, look, he was right. And I'm not saying I am never going to drink again. I'd like to think I won't, but, you know, you don't know, do you? And my journey at Dynamo then began. I did stay there for just under 6 months, which I think is what you need to do. I get people all the time say, yeah, but what about work? But you can't hold a job down anyway because you're an addict. So what's 6 months out of your life to then have a good future and actually crack on with life? It's nothing. And that 6 months was probably the best 6 months of my life.
Wow.
I discovered what it was to laugh, and I mean belly laugh. Me and my friend in there, Nick, what a funny guy. He's now a friend for life. I met people like that in there where we still chat on a regular basis, but the belly laughs we'd have without drink or drugs, it was new to me. And an actual laughs, not where my sense of humour, I've been quite funny out of the group of friends. You know, I'm always that guy that, you know, I have a bit of a laugh and a joke, but a lot of the time my sense of humour would be belittling other people, because I think because I was insecure in myself, it would project out, and I'd treat people like really mean, and everyone would laugh, and that person probably felt horrendous. But that was me. But then I learned to just have a laugh at being goofy and just having a proper laugh with the lads, because it was obviously it's a male only place, and people you probably wouldn't really mix with in your other life, and you're all thrown into this situation where there's like this camaraderie where you're all supporting one another, and you can talk about things. I never spoke about things. I'm a man. I've got to be like tough geezer.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, I ain't what? Nah, nothing up with me, mate. But no, then I started talking and opening up, and I thought, wow, something's changing here, and I just really come to realise what I was. I am an alcoholic. I am a drug addict. That's fact. And when I got to learn that, because I did have to learn it, because like I said, at first I thought I'd probably just be able to go out on weekends and whatnot. Once I learned that about myself and fully accepted it, then I could move forward. And I was happy. I didn't have a lot, because you can't work when you're in there, but I didn't have a lot before. But what I did have was routine, a clean, safe space, people around me who on the same page, all wanting to do better for themselves. I had a great support network there, and slowly, like, my relationship with my children started to come back. Obviously, I had my 3 children. I left my youngest daughter and my partner at the time to go to rehab, and the plan was to return this new man. It didn't work out like that. I realised that our relationship, it was toxic.
Right.
We would use together anyway and drink together, so there was no way I could have went back to that. But yeah, my other children were in Coventry, and I was seeing them while I was in rehab. I was allowed to have my son stay over with me, and it was just like, I was starting to become a dad, I guess, and like just a pretty decent person who I was like, you know what? You don't have to put on this show anymore, this like tough guy act. Like, you are just an all right lad as you are, and people like you for that, And I realised I had to cut people off as well. I say that certain people that are like a cancer, you need to cut it out, get them gone, because you can't. I think to get sober and really get sober, you have to change a lot, and it's good change though. Like I say, people that offer nothing to me anymore, just see you later. I don't mind if you're going through a situation where how I once was, but you've got to want the help.
Yeah, you've got to be ready.
Got to be ready, and that's what I say. Like, I've got a friend at the minute who's, I say to him, check in with me every day. I'm not going to chase you up, but I will respond to you, and I will ask how you are. The texts have stopped, and I know what's going on. But I'm always there to help people, because I had that help. I wouldn't be where I am without help. So I love the fact that I am in a position now where I can offer advice and help people, and because I'm over 3 years in now, and since leaving rehab, I've managed to buy my first house, because my credit score, things like that as well. That's the thing. You need stuff like credit scores. I was getting credit cards and I was withdrawing the cash off them, which is like, I think that's pretty bad. On a credit card, getting gear, getting drink and whatever. So my credit score was battered. I had a debt relief order on there. But I got all of that like stable.
How did you do that? Just by saving and like building yourself back up again?
Just being smart with my credit report, and like I obsess over things. So I was looking at it every day. What can I do? What can I do?
Getting on the electoral roll and all that stuff.
Yeah. All of that sort of stuff, and just really like growing up, I guess, and and it took. So what did it take? We bought our house April this year,
which is a massive achievement, by the way.
I left rehab about 2.5 years, and then I bought a house. I've got my driving license. I've had another child. I've met a woman who I adore. She is a very strong woman. I met her just coming to the end of my time in rehab, so she knew. I was very honest. I always am. Sometimes a bit too honest. I'll probably meet someone like, I'm an alcoholic, and it's like, you overshare, Karl. That's what my girlfriend always tells me. I'm an oversharer, but so I've been very honest with her, very honest about all of my past. She knows how I've been towards women, how I've, the things I've done in the past. She knows it all. She stood by me. We built something together. I've never had that where I used to hear people use the term my partner. I think it's not your missus or your bird. But I now get that partner because she is my partner.
Yeah, and you're a team.
We are a team. We like sometimes I'll be like, she's her and my lad, my youngest son, Ruben, they'll be out for the day, and I think, lovely, I've got the house to myself. And then an hour in, I'm like, oh, I miss them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to that point now. So yeah, it's nice to have that. I don't. So once I left rehab, I'd already kind of known her. We were seeing each other. I had to move back in with my mum. And,
So you ended your
yeah, just under 6 months. Yeah, ended that one. Yeah. So at that point, that's kind of why I had to leave rehab really, because then I had to get the dogs, which was fair enough. She was like, I ain't gonna have the dogs. You got to come and get them if we're not together, blah, 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 which is fair. So I had to kind of say, look, just have them until I can get something sorted. And we did, thankfully. So I'll probably owe her for that, you know. And got the dogs, me and my mum picked them up, and I moved back in with my mum, which was like weird after having all my own space and, you know, doing my own thing at Dynamo. Got the dogs anyway, and my mum already had 3 dogs. So then I got my 2 big dogs, and then they had to be separated, so I could never really leave the house because I couldn't leave the dogs together. So that was kind of hard, leaving rehab and then being stuck. But then when my mum was back from work, she would sort of look after the dogs for me. As I said, dogs are a big part of my life, so hence why I've been homeless in the past, is because I would never get rid of them. So that was quite hard, leaving rehab, having all that freedom. And then now I'm like, I'm stuck here, and it was in a place where, because I didn't drive, I couldn't even really go anywhere. But I think that was a blessing, because I couldn't just nip out and do what I wanted. I kind of had another few months where I was a little bit more sober each day.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the freedom of being like, right, I'm out now, what can I do? Like, I need to catch up with things.
Yeah.
And it slowed me back down, but it also integrated me back into real life. And
I think that element of friendships as well, like you're saying, recognising, like you've been away for a while, you've made friends up there, down there, wherever you were, which you recognise, hang on a minute, there's a pattern here. Mm-hmm. Then you come back, you're in the Dynamo, you're recognising, oh, hang on a minute, I can make connections and it doesn't involve drinking drugs. Yeah. Similar kind of mad characters, I would imagine, but you probably just do attract them. Yeah. And if they're in recovery as well, brilliant, fantastic. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, some of the humour that I imagine was going on in that building, I bet it was brilliant.
Mental.
But then you're going back to moms, and I agree, that was probably a saving grace for you, that you couldn't definitely think, back in Carv, I've done really well, I'm going to go and meet, catch up with everyone.
Pete from Dynamo said to me, I remember, he said when I was in there, he said, don't go back to the old places to show people how well you look and how well you're doing, type of thing. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense, because I imagine a lot of people to get a bit of clean time, sober time, and they're like, well, look at me, look how well I look. And then very quickly, a lot of people don't want to see you do well, that are stuck in that situation. Mm-hmm. So there's probably very quickly you end up back on it. So I just avoided them places. I'll go to a pub now for food or something, but I hate drunk people. I don't even answer my phone if I know it's someone who's had a drink, because I can't abide it. And knowing I was that drunken fool, when I'd had a line, I'd waffle the head off people, and I was so annoying. So like now, it makes me cringe. I avoid it at all costs. I don't want to be around it. I have no time for it. I've got no business being in them places anymore. It's not the person I want to be. Even when I was in rehab, I got connected with a lot of my old friends who I distanced myself from, from school days, and they're some of the best lads ever. And to have them back in my life is a blessing. They've helped me with work since leaving like rehab, and they've really, really helped me. And these are people I thought, they don't want to know me anymore. I always used to feel sorry for myself. I think, everybody leaves me after a while, but they just get bored of the same shitty shit that I do and having to put up with it, and then, do you know what I mean, and bail me out. Or I really thought everybody just had their own life. They'd had kids and like mortgages and held down jobs, so they didn't want to be around this reckless idiot like me. Maybe once in a blue moon it's pretty funny, but when it's every day, every weekend, people had enough of me. And that was one of my friends. He's doing a very long time in prison, and I remember he said to me once, we chat on a regular basis. He's a very, very good friend of mine, and he said, fucking mate, you're not this Jack the Lad anymore. Grow up. It's time to grow up.
Wow. And
I remember I was like, wow, that proper hit me. And I think I was so annoyed because it was so true, but it hit me. And little things like that along the way that kind of helped me to realise, I need to change. They're little things that have stuck with me. You know, there's a few sayings that you pick up and things that just resonate with you. But I love, I worked when I left, so I left Dynamo, I was back at my mum's, and then we moved again. The day before we moved, Ibrox had to be put to sleep because he had a big tumour on his face, basically, and it bleeding all the time. And
How old was he?
he was about 11. So because he had the cancer, that's what killed him. But the hard thing was he dragged me all into the vet, so I couldn't go to be put to sleep. So he was still physically fit, but he had this thing, it had started to spread down his throat. But he was physically strong still, but it was this one time he cut it and it wouldn't stop bleeding. It was suffering, so I had to do the right thing, as hard as it was. I still have his ashes at home, so when I go eventually, he'll be coming with me. So when he kind of went, I only had the one dog then, and I could have a little bit more freedom because I didn't have to keep an eye on him with his blood and all of, you know, getting all over the new house. So then I was able to get a job, and as I say, one of my friends from my past, who was more than a friend, we're like brothers at school. I was walking to Dynamo one day and I bumped into him, and from that moment we stayed in contact, and he got me a job. I was actually like, it was a good job anyway. I was working with like young people and teaching, and kids who have been kicked out of mainstream school. So I was able to help others, and I met some really good people there, and that's where I started to share my story with some of the staff there. And there's one guy in particular, but he's like, you need to tell people, like, it's amazing, because we'd talk for hours. But it was nice to see in some of them kids what I was like as a kid, and, you know, I probably recognised signs in them. And it was nice to be able to, obviously I couldn't tell them about my past really, but it was nice to be able to offer them advice and, you know, be a bit of a role model.
Yeah.
I'd never been a role model, so that was nice. Like, that was nice. And then I left there, got back into construction, worked with Jack, who's been on the podcast. What a great lad.
Great guy.
He'll be able to tell you some stories about me. Me and him have had a few.
We'll get him on.
Get him on, man. He would.
The Perrier.
Yeah, we've had a few wild nights in our time. And then I was able to go to work every day and turn up, and I was like, this is mad. Like, I'm turning up to work, like something so little. I sound like a baby, but like for me, being able to turn up every day, earn my money, go home, not drink, like, it was just mad. I was slowly starting to live a normal life.
Yeah.
I don't think normal life is for me. I'd like to be, you know, everybody would like to be their own sort of boss, but that's in the future. Where I am at the minute, I'm so happy. But so these little baby steps I was taking, and I remember I'd walk to the train station, get the train, walk to work, and I was doing that every day. It would take me it was like a 40-minute walk, but I was doing it.
Yeah.
And I was turning up, I was on time. And it was just a new me. And then I had a little bit of money, and I think not having money when I first left was probably a bit of a blessing, as well as being limited to where I could go, because I couldn't just go out and do what I wanted. So then I had the financial side of things where, all right, if I did want to go and have a blowout now, I could. No one would know. But I didn't ever think like that. I just thought, I don't want to. I really don't want to. I don't even... I do think about alcohol, but not in a way where I want to drink it. I just more like to think about it, to remember I hate you. Do you know what I mean?
Look what you did.
Yeah. So it took my whole 20s and teens from me. But I was just as much to blame as the alcohol, do you know what I mean? So I'm not naive to that. I started working regular, and then I started doing my driving lessons. I think I'd done like a fast track course, 20 hours, and I passed. And I was like, then I got a car, and I'm like, what the hell? This is mad. And then we're saving for a house. And then Emily, my girlfriend, gets pregnant, and I'm like, really, 4 kids, 3 baby mums. Jesus. You know. But I do see all my children. I did go to court for my children after I'd left, or maybe when I was in, or just after I'd left rehab, purely because I didn't want to be... I just wanted a routine, basically, to be stuck to. Not that none of the mums were being whatever, but I just didn't want anybody to be able to say, you can have them, then you can't, then you can't. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, wow. So you fought legally for them?
Yeah. There's a lot of not even touched on with all of my stuff. But now, like I say, my children, I have them every 2 weeks, a little bit more in holidays if I can. Obviously, it's hard with work. But, yeah,
Do you have them all together?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, it's mega. They just entertain each other.
Yeah.
So that was another thing I was able to do. We bought a house. We've got a 4-bedroom house in a nice area, and like, it's just mad. Sometimes I have to pinch myself, and like, all my children have got their own bedrooms, and it's like, wow, man, like, to be able to provide that for them, a safe space where, you know, it's just nice, like.
Yeah.
And I've even got like a work van, so we've got a car and I've got a van, and it's like just mad to think that I've got these things but I've worked hard for them. Do you know what I mean? I've put in the hard work. I learned that a guy who I grew up very close with, he was an ex of my mum's. He was with her for a very long time, but he's always kind of, as much as he's probably a bad influence, I do love him. But he always used to say to me, you can't get easy money. And I've realised that, you know, I've tried making money the wrong ways, and now I just do things the right way. If I can, I always try and do the right thing the right way. And since I've done that, I believe in all that energy and karma and whatnot, and the universe is giving out to me, like, it's paying out.
Whereas it wasn't before, because
it wasn't.
The decisions you were making.
Poor decisions, and I would always think, but why is nothing happening for me? Because I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't actively trying to change or better myself, and that's why nothing good was happening for me. But a bit of hard work, showing up, being consistent, discipline, routine, structure, a lot of love from friends and family, change your life around. But you need to take that step of sacrificing. It's not sacrificing, but you probably see it like at the start, 6 months to a year of your life to get yourself clean, sober, and to just learn to be you. Who, like, I didn't know who I was. I was probably just a scared boy, masking it by attacking violence when I was drunk, you know, acting like a class clown, always projecting onto other people, making other people feel shit. Because really, I was just a scared little boy, and I didn't know how to be a man. But now I think I'm doing a pretty good job of it. I'm pretty proud of where I'm at. You know, I've got a good relationship with my mum. I love my mum to pieces. I've always been very protective of her. I think that probably from seeing what went on as a kid and not being able to protect her. So I've always then kind of overcompensated as I got older. And I'm like that anyway, even with my friends, you know, my partner. I get very anxious if I'm out with like my girlfriend, so I can't enjoy myself, because when I'm out, my go-to setting in my head is I've got to look after her, I've got to protect her.
Right.
It's just like, it's uncomfortable for me to be out sometimes, because that's just how I think.
You're just on like high alert sort of thing.
I'm looking for like, right, if this happens, I'll get that, or use that, and it's hard work. Being in my head is mental. Like, even recently, I've had to go and ring the doctors about my mood swings, because they're just so up there, and then poof, like almost suicidal. But it's just, I'm learning to live with it, and I don't want to be on antidepressants, and you know, if people are on them, that's fine, but I don't want to be like that. So now I've got back into my routine of being up early before work to walk the dog, go to the gym, and now I've got, again, routine, structure, discipline. I'm just way better off for it. So
I think as well with the moods, and like speaking to the doctors, or recognising I'm not, you know, what's going on here, you haven't got an escape from that essentially, or a quick escape like you used to have.
That's it. I think the drink was really a lot of it as well, masking emotions and feelings, but I do think there are some sort of mental health issues with me, and I think that the drink made me forget about that, and I wasn't anxious, I wasn't like nervous about being out and whatnot. I think
alongside everything that you've been through just in your life as well, Karl, like childhood trauma, witnessing what you've witnessed as a child, being brought up around not the best influences, but when you are a child, you are a sponge. So you are what you surround yourself with. Well, I'm seeing this happening. I'm in the pubs all the time. And like what you said earlier, like being in a house where people are taking crack cocaine at like 13 years of age, to you, that's the norm. Whereas to
other kids at school, probably
99% of the population, that's like at that age with those kind of heavy drugs.
Yeah, that was so normal. Like,
and go on.
Where I grew up, Canley, Tide Hill, being in them sort of, like, it was just mad, people getting knocked out in the pub, and like people just racking up lines on the table. At one point, we used to take our own drink in there. They didn't even say anything behind the bars. Everyone just walk in with their own beer, sit out the back smoking weed. Like, it was mental. There were some good times, but as a young kid, being around that, it's pretty mad.
Yeah.
It's just something I wouldn't want for my kids.
Well, how old are your kids now?
So my eldest is 8, and then, in fact, I'll check the dates. So 8, 6, no, 7 now she is.
Right, so none of them are at the age that, like, 13.
No, not teenagers.
That you were.
But my lad, I've been at the school a few times for him, and I worry with my eldest lad that I see some of the traits in him that I recognise in myself. So I think all I can do with him is just trying to be a positive influence on him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I never had that, and obviously I wasn't a great influence when he was young, but you won't probably remember that. They only remember now me being a good dad, present. You know, I'm able to. Me and Emily, her family have taken on my kids as well.
Oh.
They're brilliant. Emily's like amazing with them. You know, she takes them out all together, and sometimes I'll work on a Saturday or something. She'll take the kids out. Like, she's really, really good with them. Yeah, I see in him, he obsesses over things, which is very much like me. So I just don't want him to obsess over the wrong things, because I know where it leads. So I just got to keep not firm with him, but, you know, but also it's hard to get the balance. I think parenting, anything, it's all about balance. Yeah. Life is in general. So without being not too hard on him, but, you know, giving him enough love, and just trying to nurture him and show him the rights and wrongs. But I'll always be very honest with them. If they ever ask me questions, I'll always be very honest with them. So when he gets a little bit older, I know he's going to have questions and whatnot. So I think honesty is always good.
And I really respect you for that, because it's not easy to do.
No.
Like, even some of the things that you've shared with me here today, like, you know, like with your humour, you can now recognise your humour was sort of directed at other people because, and I spot it all the time, because I've had to do the work and helped people with the work that I've done. So sometimes when people act in a certain way, I can say to myself, they're doing that because of that, or they're doing that because of that. Yeah. You've recognised it for yourself. So I used to do that because it made me feel better, because inside I was just a scared little boy, essentially, or an insecure little boy, or whatever it is. We all have, no matter how old you are, right? I say this all the time. We all have an inner child. Yeah. There's loads of stuff on inner child that you can read and go down rabbit holes. But that inner child will always be there. But what you've been able to do is actually go, no, I'm a man now, and I can recognise it. And the fact that you have my full respect for being able to go, I used to do that because of that, and I don't like that because that wasn't fair on somebody else. But it shows where I was in that time in my life. A
lot of the things I've done in my past was, it was always I only cared about myself. So as long as it made me feel good, I didn't care. That's the humour was a big part of that, I think. And I've hit people for stupid reasons, and just, you know, I've been horrible in the past, but now I'm just not like that.
And I only know this much, right, about your life, your childhood, and blah blah blah. But if there was why might that would have been? Look at you as a little boy. Okay, there was. And please correct me if I've got any of this wrong. And again, I'm like, I know this much, but for me, I would say, well, hang on a minute. Witnessed a lot when he was little. I know how much you love and respect your mum, but from a child and what you see and some of the decisions which are made, that can then represent itself later on in life.
Definitely, yeah.
So it may be because of that. You being able to, it takes bollocks. I'll just say it. Yeah. It really, really does. And I really respect you for it, because there's not many people that can sit on a podcast and say, yeah, this is my story, but this is really my story. Yeah. Because some people might leave some of those bits out, but are you truly working on yourself if you're doing that? Are you masking some of those sort of sides to you? And by the sounds of things, the Dynamo's done a bloody good job in bringing that out of you. Was it like groups and stuff that you had to do in there?
Yeah, just like, we'd go even like for days out together and play rounders, and like, it's just like, again, like being at school again. And I still to this day dream about being at school, and I wake up really sad, because it was some of the best times of my life before, and it was a bit more innocent. Yeah. And I kind of think I lost that innocence along the way. So it was a bit like that. And yeah, I think the thing what it was safety. I never really had that. Like I say, I didn't have any men that I could talk to. It was like, ugh, what? Fucking shut up.
Not
like,
be vulnerable with anyway.
Yeah. And it was like, and it was just, it was okay to be, look, you are what you are, like, but we're here to help. There was nothing I could have told them that they would have been like, ooh, do you know what I mean? Like, or I could really be honest. And then it was really safe, and they provide the most beautiful places for you to stay.
I've seen them. They look great.
Stunning. And it was a mad experience. Like, we'd cook together, we'd clean together. Like, we'd salad, like some pretty deep stuff as a group, and you know, we'd just have each other's backs, and we'd go to meetings together, and it's just, honestly, like I say, that was probably the best 6 months of my life, because I got to know who I am, and
Who you are.
you know, and I was just happy there. Like, this is, some people don't get it first time. I'd like to think I'm one of the people that has, and it just all clicked for me, and then since then the momentum has only built more and more, and like I say, I'm doing all right. I've achieved a lot.
You really have.
You know, I don't know what people base achievements on is different for each individual, but just to be able to provide a nice, safe, clean, nice family home for my kids when they come over, that's something I'm proud of. You know, I always had a nice, very clean home growing up, but now to be able to provide it for my own kids, and like my youngest son, he's never gonna not know having his own house with a nice big bedroom where his all his stuff is, you know, like, he's never not gonna know that. He's never, hopefully, not gonna know having his mum and dad there. Because I used to be so jealous when I was a kid. Like, my friends would have like mums and dads, and I'd be like, fucking hell, like, do you know what I mean? That'd be like, that was a hard one. You know, my mum done great for a single mum. She really did. But yeah, that was hard. So I don't, at least for my youngest son, he'll have his mum and dad, and then my other children now will grow up, and it will just be me and Emily. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is like the constant. And who knows, there could even be a wedding on the cards at some point, so that'll be another one ticked off.
Oh,
but
fantastic. And you've created that, right?
Yeah.
So you've
With
made
her
those
help,
changes.
a lot of her help.
Well, she
been
sounds
such
great.
a supporter.
Yeah.
Like, she has got my
And she
back
seems
and
to have
believes in me.
come into your life at the right time. Let's look at
Definitely.
this, right? You're in rehab. The stars are aligning for you a little bit, and
Big
then she
time.
comes along.
Yeah. Big time, man. We just hit it off. Yeah,
Right,
we
I've got a
really
few
did.
questions for you.
Go on.
One of them I've had, so my listeners have asked 2 questions, but I've got one. You know, when you did a bit of work supporting young people,
Yeah.
if you had you at that
Yeah.
time in your life, would that have helped? Were you ready for it?
No, because I thought I knew best, and I think a lot of young kids still do. I would
Right.
always try and help them, but it's just that like age-old thing, innit? It's like, oh, I ain't listening. Oh, you have to go learn for yourself.
ready, yeah.
You have to learn and make these mistakes yourself.
Yeah.
You can only, like that old saying, isn't it? You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Nobody could have told me anything. I wouldn't have listened. I'd take advice, but ultimately I'm going to do what I want to do. And that's how I always was. Selfish.
Until you hit.
Until I hit like 30, and then I started getting the help. Because I just thought, where I'm from, people don't really get better. They go jail or they die. So yeah, I just thought, I don't want to be like that. But as a kid, I don't think I would have listened. And I know deep down, a lot of them young people, I still stay in contact with one of the lads. I've got him an apprenticeship with Jack.
Right.
So that's been nice to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I think, no, some of them definitely listen, but will they listen to the point where they're going to implement that and do exactly as you've advised them? Or are they just going to take it on board and still do their own thing? Do you know what I mean? I think young lads especially, they know it all.
So one of our listeners has, so I put a picture up of you. If you listen to this, you don't follow me on Instagram, I put a picture up of Karl and I blurred your face out. And I said, he's been sober for 3 years from alcoholism and drug addiction. If you want to ask him a question, ask one. So I've copied them onto my phone.
Okay.
What's the biggest piece of advice for someone in early recovery?
I think structure, routine, discipline, as I've touched on earlier.
Yeah.
Cut people out, be ruthless, and be selfish, because you have to help yourself ultimately, and there's a lot of people, places, situations that you could potentially put yourself in that aren't going to help you. So you have to be ruthless and really focus on yourself. And even if you love someone, sometimes love isn't enough. You have to cut them off, and you have to be brutal. You have to be ruthless. That's what I think. And you will then see the rewards of that.
Yeah.
But obviously, and I also think, you know, in early recovery, talk.
Okay.
Be very open. Try not to hide anything because it's still like a dirty little secret. Then just get it out there. Because I'm telling you now, in recovery, there's some of the stuff I've done or thought is mental. And then you speak to other people and you're like, jeez, this guy's mad.
Yeah.
So just be honest, get it off your chest, move on from it. Don't dwell on it.
And then another one, it may actually fall into this sort of thing, but what, other than all of that, is there anything else that keeps you on the straight and narrow?
Ego.
Oh, love that answer.
Ego, because I now wouldn't want to give in to that and then throw that all away.
Right, so your ego that was
gutted.
the devil on your shoulder
It's
for the
now
majority
helping
of your
me.
life so far.
Yeah, you know, my ego, I'd hate to have to tell people, I fucked up, I'm back on it. And in my head, I still think people would be like, yes. Like, but I know that's not the case, but I try and tell myself that people would love to see you fall again.
More,
So, yeah, my ego, I ain't letting it happen.
So we are at the end of our episode today.
Okay.
Your honesty is fantastic. I love it.
It's got me into trouble in the past, though.
Yeah, I can imagine. But, you know, even as you're saying, talking, don't hold anything back because you're sort of there, but you've got one foot sort of still out the door. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I really rate you. You've been raw and vulnerable with me today. How have you found chatting about everything?
Yeah, I really like it because it's part of who I am. It's therapy for me to talk about it.
Yeah.
And if it can help someone else, brilliant. You know, my inbox is always open if someone's ever struggling and they need help. If they're serious about it, I can always point them in the right direction, give them advice. I can't believe I welled up a little bit on here talking about my dog.
It shows how important he is,
I never cry. That's the thing about me. I don't cry. Someone could die and I won't cry, but he was just special. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I felt a lot more relaxed than I did at the start. I was a bit nervous, dry mouth. Really, yeah, don't miss having a dry mouth because that's something you definitely get when you're on the sesh. But yeah, it's been nice. It's been relaxed. I think I could definitely do a part 2 because there's a lot I haven't touched on, but I think I got the general, you know, the general story out there.
I think you did. I think you gave me a really good insight into your why, basically, like what went wrong, how it went wrong a little bit, but like how life has changed for you. That's the whole reason I started this podcast. Yeah. You look happier. Yeah. You look a damn lot happier than you bloody did in that other photo when you bang at it.
I think, but like I say, just ask for the help. There's no shame in it because what is shameful is doing what you're doing. Just ask for help, man. Places like the Dynamo, they're there to help people, and even if they haven't got room at the time, they will always engage with you, and you know, they're good people.
Yeah,
they're there to help, and like I say, my inbox is always open because I've lost too many friends even to addiction, and I don't want to lose any more. So, you know, mothers and fathers, they don't want to be burying their kids because of this crap, or kids burying their parents because of this. You've got to talk about it. You've got to be honest. You've got to be truthful. Just no one's gonna judge you. Yeah. So what? And if they do, they ain't the people you want around you.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
I am what I am. So what?
Love that. Well, thank you very much. I'll put the links for the Dynamo in the show notes. Yeah, you've sort of said your inbox is always open now. I'll let you decide whether I put that.
Yeah, tag me in it. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome. And we are done.